Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy, owner-operator of Green 13 for 15 years. Third generation auctioneer and dealer of antiques and collectibles for over 30 years.
We are Lysandra and Tony from ilovediscounts_com. With 20 years of experience across brick and mortar, Amazon, eBay, and whatnot, we have built, broken, and rebuilt resale businesses, so you don't have to.
Hi, I'm Tracy, a CPA with over 30 years of audit and tax experience and have worked with businesses in various industries. I am also a seller on Whatnot, eBay, and Etsy.
Welcome to Reselling Roundtable.
Welcome to the Reselling Roundtable, everybody.
Hey everyone, I cannot believe we're on episode 26 and we're just now getting to talking about sourcing. It's like one of the most popular questions asked on Whatnot. How do you source? And I'm really excited about tonight's podcast because all three of us sort differently.
Source.
Would you like to finish the intro?
I'll just correct you in between words.
Welcome to Reselling Roundtable behind the scenes.
So, Tony and I have been from vintage decor and pallets, and now we're kind of vintage jewelry. We're really going to kind of take the pallet focus tonight and that side of it. Jeremy sources jewelry in crazy bulk, and Tracy is going to take the vintage decor and glassware and her side of sourcing tonight. And we've had all kinds of fun technology issues, so that's all I got. Who wants to start?
You do.
I do.
I don't know. I'm just feeling, no, I don't. It doesn't matter to me. I can pick up if you want me to. It's fine with me.
Actually, one of the things that kind of sticks out of my head is from your Sunday chats, and you were talking about sourcing in one of them, and you're like, well, sourcing should be just easy for you. You just get pallets. You just go online, don't you? And no, it is very much about relationship building in pallets too.
It absolutely is.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that because that is one of the interesting things, people's perspectives. Like that was literally my perspective. And the reason I had that perspective is because I did some pallet sourcing myself, and that's what I did. I just went online and um, found a place that sold pallets full of, this is when we dealt in toys,
Mm-hmm.
Gaylords full of toys. And I sent some employees of mine at the time to go to the warehouse that the place had it, and we just bought out what was left. I negotiated a price, and at that time that was the largest purchase I ever did, but that's all it was. I literally just looked online, found it, sent some people to kind of make sure it wasn't terrible stuff, and turns out they weren't so good at assessing the real condition of the merchandise, and I'd lost a bunch of money.
Oh,
So
fun.
but it still was my perspective on it was not really relationship building. It was find it online, buy it, and have it delivered. So
Uh, and, and that's how it starts, right? With pallets. And I feel like that's how a lot of things start. And maybe not so much in your situation, Jeremy, but I know if you're going to go look for auctions, you're probably going to start online, right? And you're going to Google what local auction houses are around you, or what flea markets are around you, or what pallet wholesalers are around you. And that's kind of where it starts. But with pallets, if you want to get to the better stuff or you want to get better deals, it's really is about relationship building with that person, or even trying to figure out where they get their truckloads so you can move on up the ladder.
Move the middleman out of the way.
Yeah.
And well, since we're already talking, hell with it. Let's just go. So also one of those things you need to watch out for is the scammers. It's very common in pallet sales and truckload of pallet sales to be dealing with scammers. And what they do is, you contact a broker and they'll, you've never dealt with them before. And they say, well, I've got this truckload. They send you all kinds of pictures. They're probably, we're in Kentucky. Let's assume this guy's in Arizona. So he's sending you pictures of what they have. And you say, okay, that looks good. And you have to wire them the money for them to send you a truckload. What happens is I have on many occasions said, well, I've never dealt with you. I'm not going to wire you $18,000 blind. I'll either do it COD or I'll pass.
Which is not as common.
Which is not. It's very difficult to get these brokers to do a cash on delivery. And what typically happens in that situation with the scammers is they will try to get you to pay for the trucking costs up front. It's going to cost me $1,300 to truck it. Can you pay that $1,300 up front? At which point you either say, okay, sure, and send them $1,300 and never receive a truckload, or you say, no, I'll pay everything upon delivery.
And scamming, you can even go down to just the pallet level, though, right? You can go to your local wholesale pallet place, and they have stacked the pallets to where the better stuff is on top,
which is probably what you ran into.
That is exactly what I ran into.
And the crappy stuff's on the bottom, but most pallet places don't allow you to dig into the pallet at all.
That's correct.
You're just looking at the top and trying to gauge whether that price is worth it.
Yeah, they don't want your hands in there, so you can't see that they've put the good stuff on top. They don't want people swapping items from one pallet to another pallet to make the pallet that they want to purchase better, or they just don't want people stealing a piece here and a piece there out of the pallets. So most pallet places that we've been in, they won't let you search through it. But anyway, that's kind of a couple of the things that you're wanting to watch out for when it comes to pallets. But the reality is, it's 100% about building a relationship with a pallet dealer. Typically, we've gone with brokers. We have found a couple outside of brokers ourselves.
It always starts with brokers, but once you get, if you're on the truckload level, once you get the truckload in, it's pretty easy to figure out where it came from.
Literally, just ask the driver, hey, where'd this come from?
And if you're,
tell you most times.
And if you're looking for pallets, you start online. Find the wholesale pallet people that are within 2 hours driving distance of you, is what I say. Most major cities have many, many, many of them, except for Nashville. I don't know what's up with Nashville, but they're not about the pallet game, apparently.
If you live in Nashville looking for pallets, good luck.
But most major cities have dozens of pallet wholesalers. Go in person, see the pallet for yourself. Are you going to know if they've stacked it to make it look better than it actually is? No, but you try one, you bring it home, you go through it and decide if it's worth it. If it is, then you go back and you start building that relationship.
Work your way up into larger quantity and cheaper pricing.
Yep. I would also say one thing you got to worry about, which is not so much a scam, is pallets that have been picked through, which is very, very common. And to give you an example, say Tony and Lysandra buy a truckload of health and beauty, and we go sell all the top 50% of it. Oh, look, my hand came over here. Sorry.
Magic.
That was a squirrel.
You can do.
But say Tony and Lysandra bought a truckload of health and beauty, and we go sell the best 50% of that truckload, but we still have 12 pallets left that is not really worth our time to get rid of. You're going to find a lot of people that will take that and then try to resell it.
In the pallets, just sell it as pallets of health and beauty.
So they'll like consolidate their remaining pallets, put it in, you want to make a whole pallet out of it, and lay off the junk.
And typically, honestly, guys, if you are sourcing pallets, it has been picked through.
A lot of times,
right off the top. There's always somebody who's got their hands in these pallets before you do. You almost never get them direct from the source. Not good pallets. You can get CVS, you can get Walgreens pallets direct. They've not really been sorted through. But these Amazon pallets and stuff like that,
Walmart pallets.
Walmart.
Those are all contract deals with major wholesalers.
Yeah, those have 85% of those have been gone through. They've taken out the best 5% of the product and are selling off the rest.
So I have a question for you. Actually, not so much a question, but enlightening people to what kind of operation it takes to run the pallet game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not when it comes to sourcing, you can't just do this really in your garage or,
Oh no,
it's
you need a forklift and a dock high space, or a forklift without one, but
So,
But there are people that run out of their garage.
yeah.
not easily.
There are people that run out of the houses. Like I've pulled up to pallet places and people were unloading the pallet in the parking lot, loose into the car
Piece
or
by
into
piece.
boxes, piece by piece in the parking lot. When we started, we worked our way up just like everybody else, right? When we bought the grocery store, which is when we got into the pallet game, we started by going to a wholesaler and buying by the piece. And then as we built that relationship with that owner, then she started taking us in the back and we started buying by the case and then the pallet. And then we went out and looked for other pallets, right?
Single, or I'm just going to interject there. Single pallets here and there. We had a truck and trailer. We would take our trailer down, go pick up 4 pallets max at a time, bring them home, get them unloaded with a pallet jack. We didn't necessarily need a forklift.
We bought a ramp.
Yeah.
For our trailer.
Which
to where we could use a pallet jack to get the pallets off of the trailer.
Which I think I drove to Alabama to pick up.
You did, because it's like a 10,000 pound ramp. It was worth it. It was like $400.
What I'm hearing though is to scale with pallets. It sounds like it's an expensive scaling ratio. Like if you want to scale with pallets, space starts becoming a necessity. And then, like you were talking about, if you want to go from single pallets to multiple pallets, you're going to need trailers. And if you're going to go from multiple pallets to truckloads, you're going to need docks and forklifts and all that kind of stuff in order to move the merchandise
around all of that.
If you have a dock, you don't necessarily need a forklift.
Yeah,
you just need a pallet jack.
Pallet jack.
You need a pallet jack and a dock, but a warehouse with a dock is very expensive. We had a forklift before we got the bigger warehouse when we got on Whatnot with the dock. And my employees ran out of hydraulic fluid. I buy $5,000 forklift.
Yep. So yeah.
And I told them I'd never buy them another one. And so instead of buying them another $5,000 forklift, we got the bigger warehouse with the dock, which
we needed
more space.
We rented a forklift a few times. It was
$300
a day, but then the last couple of times it was like $500 for a day to rent a forklift.
It becomes a pretty hefty.
The
scaling elements to that seem pretty expensive. And then I'm just think it's an interesting topic. You guys being in there in this world, what kind of residual leftovers do you have at the end of it? Like you were talking about, people consolidate. I'm assuming that happens to some extent to anybody that's dealing with pallets.
Jeremy, 18. I call him Jerry. Sorry, Jeremy. 18 months later, I still have non-expired health and beauty. 18 months.
So
I listed a bunch of it on eBay. We've been selling that for 6 weeks.
When I say residual, I'm talking about stuff that's actually a tax on your business model, meaning that it's virtually not sellable, or we can always go back to. And I'm going to put I'm going to poke you here on this one a little bit, that you're paying to get rid of those Mighty Patches at this particular point in time.
I sold Mighty Patches today. Thank you very much. In a rate train. But no, the reality is, so listen, the reality is on health and beauty pallets from Amazon, it's a mix of about 60 to 65% expired product and 35-40% of non-expired product.
And about 20% of all that is open, and you automatically got to throw it away.
Okay. So there's
you have to deal So you have to deal with the open product. You have to figure out what you want to do with expired product, which you cannot sell on anybody's online platform except your own. And you have very minimal amounts of each pallet of non-expired product.
And let's get out of consumables, right? Tony and I love the consumable game. But
100%.
even on clothing, like when we go get these bales of clothing, which aren't necessarily pallets, but kind
Same
of
type of thing.
same type of
Same
thing.
principle.
We're getting ready to get in clothing with clothing bales, and there's going to be a lot of non-sellable stuff, even at $1 on whatnot. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to pay to throw it away? Take it to the dump? Are you going to pay the cost of a dumpster? Or can you find someone that's willing to buy it back? That's the best case scenario because dumpsters and dump trips are expensive.
Well, there's always your donation option again too, which is
That
where.
too.
So
Also that.
I mean, each comes with its own things to deal with, but it sounds like there's a lot of residuals to deal with essentially in the pallet game in general. I feel like without even being in it, I can only imagine if you get into even the toys and just anything you decide. Like I got into the toys, there was tons of stuff that
Just
I
doesn't
ended up
sell.
needing to take to, yeah, it's just not worth selling. Outdated, like these, a large amount of the unit count that they hid in the bottom of the boxes, like you
Hmm.
were outdated toy, almost digital toy cameras
Yeah.
Hmm.
that there was no use to connecting. You'd had to like find an old computer to even be able to use them to hook them up
Right.
to in order to have any type of use case for it. So they were worthless, and you can't even donate that stuff, like
Do you
because
ever
even the places that take it can't even sell
They
it because
don't.
there's
They don't.
literally no use case
Yeah.
for it.
do you ever try to sell them for $1 on whatnot?
No, no, they were gone before Whatnot came along. We're talking years ago. The one thing I did have
Yeah.
left over from that were those the wrestling figures, and I still think there's a box or two shoved in a corner somewhere.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No,
So
So
our biggest thing for the pallets was how to maximize the dollars with all of the product, right? Nothing with the open and stuff like that. And there's hidden costs in there too, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So when you get these pallets, you're sorting this product. Each pallet is, for estimation, 1,000 units of health and beauty.
health and beauty palettes,
These
not
are health and beauty.
food
yeah,
palettes don't have that kind
yeah.
of quantity. Toy palettes aren't going to have that type of quantity.
Health
Health and
and
beauty
beauty.
makes sense. You're talking like fingernail polish and like a lot of tiny, right?
Supplements,
Yeah.
stuff like this, right? Um, so there's 1,000 units in a Gaylord. You have to sort completely the pallets to make sure you're getting good quality product to sell, and to figure out what you're going to do with the other stuff. The open stuff goes straight to the trash. For us, we owned a grocery store, a salvage grocery store, which is why we were okay taking on these truckloads, because when we first got them, our whole business was the store and eBay, and we started just blowing up the non-expired product on eBay, which means all of the expired stuff comes to the store. Again, we bought 2 truckloads, 48 pallets, over 50,000 units of health and beauty in those 2 truckloads. And today I could fill a 16-foot trailer 1.5 times with expired product from those health and beauty pallets that never sold in a year and a half in my store. So
Part
one, the labor of sorting these pallets, depending on how good your people are, many, many times. Go ahead.
part of that is inefficiencies within our
Yeah.
process and in the problems we had.
Yep. Yep. Those
Yeah.
those were that was a lot of our internal issues with employees and
Processes.
Well,
not
yes,
having the
uh,
proper processes
but
that
for me,
were
that still
followed.
goes back to the scalable cost, the cost to
Yes.
scale,
Yeah.
because everyone's going to run into that until you get your system down, unless you have somebody else that can literally come in and train you on the processes that are efficient based on a successful experienced seller. and no one does that. No one's going to come in and go, "Hey, you're going to steal all my business. I'm going to teach you how to do this," unless they're
Yeah,
buying
let me
somebody
show you
else's
how.
business.
Let me show you how to steal it.
Hey,
Yeah,
we had an employee, the first shipper we ever hired, stole health and beauty products from us.
Yep.
yeah.
That's why she got fired. One thing Tony has not touched on, and I always like to tell people if they're looking to get into the pallet game, is how to deal with quantity of the same SKU. Because no doubt, like Jeremy talked about, he had all these outdated digital camera toys that came in a pallet, and it always happens. Our Mighty Patches
We got
is one of those things.
We got like 20,000 boxes of Mighty Patches in those 2 truckloads.
One time we got 30,000 cans of green beans in a food load.
26 million rubber bands.
26 million rubber bands in another load of stuff that we bought. And so, and that sounds crazy, but that's because at that time we were buying truckloads, 26 pallets at a time. But it happens in just your pallet. And if you're bringing a pallet home into your house, what are you going to do with 40 of the same SKU? Because you certainly don't want to run those at $1
Yep.
in your show all at once. You certainly are going to have trouble if you're not a dollar start seller and you're doing $5 starts. How are you going to run 40 of those? So you've got to think about those issues and how you're going to tackle the getting the quantities of the same SKU, because it's part of the pallet game.
That seems to me like the first step everyone takes in my perspective of watching other people in the same game of pallets building the boxes. So
We
you're
we
like,
we did a couple box
mhm.
sales, but I don't like them. Like,
Yeah,
They don't sell
we
well at
bought a
all.
candy truckload and we did it by the box, and that's when that was brand new on the app. There wasn't enough profit margin in there for me
Mhm.
to say that it was worth it.
People
I,
were spending money on 1 or 2 of the items, and everything else was irrelevant to them.
yeah. I
We
mean, I've
tried it
just
with health
noticed
and
that's what
beauty.
other people do. I've just
Yeah,
noticed
there's
that's
lots of
how
people
they're
that do
dealing with it. I'm watching other shows back when when the pallet category went live on Whatnot. I
it.
noticed a lot of people were handling their over allotment of SKUs in
Yep.
that manner, trying
Yep.
to build boxes. So,
I Sometimes we would try to find just others resellers that we could sell in quantity to, not on Whatnot.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think the most creative thing we ever did, and then truly it's against TOS now, and maybe it was against TOS then, but the green beans we sold in 3 weeks. But we built a big part of our channel in the beginning about we partnered with our local homeless shelter, and our customers knew that, and they wanted a way to help us contribute to that. So we came away that we had a
We did
listing.
donation
It was
list.
almost like buy me coffee
Hmm.
listing,
Yeah.
but they got a sticker, but they donated items to the shelter, and we kept all the receipts and all that fun stuff. Don't do this, guys, because they are starting to crack down on it. And if you don't have the, what is it, 503C?
501c3.
There we go. 5013C. Then they're
501c3.
they're really starting to crack down on that and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, think about that for your benefit show. I know
Mhm.
you'll probably do it all kosher and just take the hit on the taxes and everything. But
Yeah, my way of not dealing with all that is just exactly that.
Yep.
I just do the sale and I write the check for the proceeds
yeah,
to the and I do it live so
Yep.
everyone knows I gave the money to them. I go to the actual location, and in case anyone's wondering, because we're talking about something people watching now might not have any relevancy to,
Yep.
is every so often I like to do a donation sale for a pet rescue, and that's how I handle it. It's just way easier than
yeah.
jumping through all the hoops. Sell the stuff and then take the proceeds, and the company then donates, and I do it live on Whatnot so people know that that's what I'm doing. I go through all the numbers live so they know what they helped me raise, all that
I
kind of
want
stuff.
to
Yeah.
jump in real quick. I'm not doing all like full on tax advice here, but just for the people watching, you have to think about your legal structure. That it's very different. The way Jeremy, I happen to know the way his company is set up.
Hmm.
He can make charitable contributions.
Yes.
Whereas just you as a sole proprietor, that's not a charitable contribution. So it's very different. So you do have to like consult with your CPA, consult with your attorney, your advisors
Yep.
to make sure that you're doing it right. So like the way Jeremy talks about it, he can do that within his corporate structure, but not a lot of us on Whatnot have that set up already.
The
Exactly
funny
right.
thing is, Tracy,
Hmm.
I just eat. I don't even write it off.
You just eat it.
I just eat it all because
Yeah.
it's a couple $1,000s. I don't. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
The money gets to the place I want it to.
Hmm.
The people that are supporting are happy about it, and
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
not like I'm raising tens of thousands of dollars. It's a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
I mean, I eat the fees on Whatnot, all that. It's just a good fun time. It's a big community building attribute. So I view it those as extra expenses that I'm eating as part of marketing expenses. I
Yep.
mean, and I don't use it. I just view
Yeah.
it that way. So
Ours got to the point. Ours was getting like it was like 3 and 4 pallets of food a week to the homeless shelter, and which was amazing until it almost got to the point that with their other donations, as they were getting more well known in the community, it was getting actually to be too much for them.
Yeah. We were actually giving too much to a homeless shelter, which is crazy.
The green beans worked out. There was a tornado that came through our town, and that's honestly, it was just right time, right place, and that's how we were able to sell 30,000 cans of green beans in 3 weeks. It was nuts. But
That was insane.
just one of those things to think about how you're going to get rid of all those. If you get 20,000 boxes of Mighty Patches, or you get all the green beans, or you get toy cameras that you can't sell anywhere. And, we like to think that everything has value, but once you factor in, and I know Tracy's going to get on me about this, but once you factor in your time and the expense it takes you to ship those items out, are you paying to get rid of that item?
And even before the sale, we were just talking about this a few days ago.
Oh my gosh.
We probably spent $15,000 in labor sorting 48 pallets of health and beauty over and over again over the last 18 months.
We probably bought another 8 or 10 in there trying
Sure.
other wholesalers, but yeah.
Sure.
$15,000 in
The
labor.
amount of times, and the only reason why I say this happened is, so the process was you sort a pallet into sellable Whatnot product, fill a banana box. I want it to be random as possible because I'm pulling random pulls in a show. Everything else that's expired but still sellable goes in another box, and all the trash goes in a third box. The amount of product I pulled out of a banana box on a live show that was not sellable was crazy. I mean, it was a third.
It's a lot.
It was a third of every item that I pulled out.
So we paid them to go through it again
So we paid him to go through it again
and again
and again
and again.
and again.
It was nuts.
I'm not joking. We guaranteed spent $15,000 in labor to sort those 55 pallets.
Again, processes within your business.
yeah.
That's what I Love Discounts is all about this year.
Yeah.
What one other thing I want to underline, and it's not so much really to address the pallet situation, just live stream selling in general. I like the fact that you managed to figure out a way to build community and build brand buy-in through an element that you really couldn't do anything with the green beans, because doing what you did helped your business probably more than you
It-
realized through the process of what you were doing.
And the reason it worked is because what you talk about, where your community thinks up like your card ideas,
Hmm.
and that's what kind of turns that engine.
Our community did that.
Our community is the one that said, "Hey, we want to help. How do we help?"
Yeah.
This was before the green beans.
Yeah, and that's one of those situations where I want everyone to understand would never really happen on other platforms. You wouldn't be able to get that
100%
done
not.
on an optic based platform like eBay, Amazon, Etsy or any of that kind of stuff, could you put a listing up saying you're doing that? But immediately the red flags go up. People don't know if it's going to happen.
That's
You have
right.
the ability to build the trust in the community. People know who you are as people, and you get to show the receipts live when it happens. Like I was talking about with the donations for the cat rescue, and you can't accomplish that anywhere else. You
No.
can
Was
only
it
accomplish that kind of thing on live stream selling environments, like what like Whatnot and some of the others that are available out there.
was it our 40,000 show where we had help the homeless in the store?
Yeah, we
So
we brought the woman that started Help the Homeless and a couple volunteers, and we did a benefit show for them, and we made it like game show style. And Tony, was
Hmm.
Bob Barker, made
but for
meat
every
sticks.
for every donation purchase, we had this buy it now purchase. For every donation purchase, the Help the Homeless crew would go get X amount of dollars of stuff off the shelf.
They live shopped in the store during the show. It was pretty cool, actually.
It
Yeah.
was great. It was
Yeah.
great. But that was like a third iteration of anything
Hmm.
like that. Like Lysandra was saying, the community came up with, hey, how can we also help the homeless? Why
Yeah.
don't you put a buy it now in there? Why don't you put a donation listing up? So we did that and had success with that. And then we had the green beans and we just same deal, made the green beans a donation listing. And then we did the 40,000 follower show. It's been fantastic because
We had whole brainstorming sessions with our customers.
yep,
Like I
100%.
I did a pop-up show on the beach, and I was like, "Hey, what can we do for this benefit show that you would like to do?"
Right.
It was
What
fun.
what would you guys want to do with
Anyway,
this?
we're way off of pallets.
Way off of pallets, but it's something to think about because the reality is if you purchase in this type of quantity, you have to figure out what to do with the non-sellable product.
Do you know what it is for jewelry? Paparazzi.
Crafting,
Anyway,
craft jewelry. But no, you have to figure out because as I said earlier, 40% of any pallet in the consumables is going to be sellable. The rest of it, you have to figure out, are you comfortable eating or consuming expired product? I am. We consumed a lot of those products. But you can't possibly, if you're doing large scales, even think about consuming it. Again, 18 months later, I still could fill a 24-foot truck with health and beauty that I literally just had.
16 foot. But
No,
oh, gotcha.
I'm going to take more than one. But now I'm just going to pay to have it dumped.
Yeah, the rest of it.
So you
Mhm.
just have to figure out what you're going to do with that large amount. We talked about the warehousing of it. And don't get me wrong, there are people who can do pallets without a warehouse. Our post office lady has a storage unit. She gets 3 or 4 pallets and takes them and stores them in a storage unit. She does hand unload them piece by piece. But where there's a will, there's a way, right? There's always a way to figure out how to handle these types of things, but you have to be careful once you start getting to the truckload situation.
And that can be done here because storage is so cheap. Storage units are stupid cheap here.
Yeah.
Where they're not that cheap elsewhere, from what I've seen.
I mean, we have what, a 1,200 square foot storage unit we're paying $50 a month for.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's because there's so much boat storage here for the lake, and just there's storage units everywhere. And why they keep building them, I don't know, but it's cheap here.
So, are we ready to shift?
Yes, let's shift it.
Hey, I mean, it's 7:05. I'm just trying to make sure we get our time in there. We extend it out.
And there's going to be a lot, I know Jeremy and Tracy are going to touch on, and there's going to be a lot of things that are synonymous.
Synonymous.
Thank you. Between all three.
I will say, since we're going to switch over, if anybody has any questions on pallets or how to do it or what to do, please let us know. We'll circle back to it later. All right.
Who's next?
I don't know. Tracy, do you want to go? Or do you want me to go?
Now I'll jump in for a little bit. I don't have a whole lot here because I think my sourcing is very, very different from all of you. Um, and I think the way that I'm like where I'm at right now in my business and the way I started sourcing is very typical of a lot of whatnot sellers. I think there's a whole subset of whatnot sellers that come to this already, maybe having a business, like, you know, like Jeremy, like you said, you bought the pallets of toys, or I love discounts with the grocery store. So I think there's a subset that come already buying pallets and already buying in bulk or already with relationships. But there is a huge group, particularly since COVID, I guess the beginning of whatnot, but there's a huge group that would see people on Facebook or see people on Instagram going to thrift stores and buying stuff and selling it. And there was this huge influx and whatnot. And we still see that. You can go into vintage decor any day, and that's probably 90% of what you're seeing is
Mm-hmm.
people buying in that fashion. And I'm no different. I mean, I'm just at the cusp of right now of changing how I'm sourcing, of trying to expand it. But for the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, it's been auctions. It started with the thrift stores, the Goodwills, evolved into auctions, started to buy bigger lots at auctions. From there, that's pretty much probably 85, 90% of what I do. And then now adding on antique stores, but we're now moving into the stage of making those relationships for bigger bulk buys. You can only take your business so far. It's extremely limiting when you're buying piece by piece by piece. You're only going to be able to sell or source a certain amount. I mean, you can't get very far. I'm looking at, right now I sell 150 to 200 pieces a week. I'm pretty much tapped out working full time and trying to supply 200 vintage items a week. It's not going to get much bigger until I develop more relationships and start buying in more bulk quantities.
Yep.
But you face the same type of problems that you were talking about with the pallets. You're looking at space, you're looking at time, you're looking at cleaning, you're looking at what kind of waste do you got if you're buying in bulk. Um, is everything coming to, is it chipped? Is it broken? So we have some of the same type of stuff you're talking about with the pallets, just in a different application of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
100%.
so I think it's interesting to hear the pallet side and like the side of it where okay, like we could be a volume seller. I just think there's a ton of us out here that are nowhere near that, and we're buying piece by piece. And where my mind goes with that is okay, how do you scale that from piece by piece to the bulk side or to even higher volume to be a larger, particularly in like a vintage decor type, scenario, not estate sales, not storage units. Those typically come to me. And when I think estate sale storage unit, I'm thinking bulk right off the bat. You're buying a whole storage unit full of stuff, or you're buying, you have those estate sale contacts where you're buying out a whole estate sale. Well, how do we go from I'm going to, spending 4 hours, every Saturday picking up piece by piece and trying to make these relationships to buy a whole booth or a whole something else. So that's where I'm at in my business. And that's, um, I could talk about what I'm doing to try to forge those relationships, but I know Jeremy's going to talk a bit on relationships. So I'll turn it over and hear what he says and we can
How did you know I
go
was going to
further
talk about building relationships?
because
I
it's
was
Jeremy, because it's you.
one of the I was just going to add in real quick before Jeremy, and this goes right into the relationships. Is one of the when Tony and I did sell vintage decor, one of the most lucrative partnerships we had. We live in the middle of the Bible Belt. There are tons of nonprofits here that are ran by churches, and there's a church thrift store that relationship that would literally call us up, be like, "Hey, we just got a whole bunch of glass in. Why don't you come in and knock on the back door?" And we didn't even shop from the front of that thrift store. We went straight to the back and loaded up our truck.
took as took as much as they wanted to get rid of.
There were times that they called us before he even got out of the house that it was being donated from. So relationships in all aspects.
Yeah.
That's going to be I'm pretty sure that's going to be the key um, topic in all three areas of where we're at in sourcing
Yeah.
is building those relationships keep finding the good ones versus the bad ones, um, and just trying to keep them happy, as well as continue to look for new ones.
Well, and then the patience in relationships too, because it's not like, oh, I'm going to start buying at thrift stores and I'm going to talk to the thrift store owner, and all of a sudden I've got this in and I'm going to get all this great stuff.
Right.
It takes a lot of time to build relationships. And in that time, so if you think about the typical whatnot seller that comes in and starts buying at a Goodwill or at, antique stores, and they're buying items and they're starting to build those relationships, that could take a year or two to get to the point where
Oh
those
yeah.
relationships start to be like, hey, I've got something for you here. And then even a lot longer after that, because it's kind of like you dip your toe in the water piece by piece. You're not just all in with these relationships or immediately. The course of business, most businesses are going to fail before they ever even get to the point of a sustainable relationship with a vendor.
Oh, it was Lysandra made our little thrift store relationship sound easy. It was 9 months of going in there every single day before they said, "Hey, I've got a whole bunch of this. Do you guys want it? You guys seem to like this." And we're like, "Well, of course." But it was 9 months. And then they said, "Well, here's what we just got in. What do you want?" I said, "Well, how much of it do you want to sell?" He said, "All of it." I'm like, "Well, I'll take it all." And that was what opened up the door. Is we were there every single day for 9 months before that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna mention something about that I didn't. She's referencing, I believe, something I talked about probably years ago now when it comes to developing relationships. Learn what the
The
whoever
pain point.
you're trying to develop a relationship with, learn to speak their language.
Yeah.
When I say that, like if you're dealing with people that in the jewelry world that deal in melt value or they deal in penny weights, whatever their language is, make sure you're talking their language and be on their same level. That is, and uh, relate to them on that on as much of a granular level as you can. That
100%.
is going to make things way easier for you to end up being able to buy in bulk,
Yeah.
or to scale your volume that you're planning on buying. If they're the type of person, I mean, I've dealt with them all. The people that want to deal in an item by item case, and I'll tell them, that's great. I understand your process. You price the things out individually in your brain and then write it down, add it up, and tell me what you want for all of it. Let them have their way of doing it, and don't try to break their process that they like to do. Kind of try to work with them. And then I've dealt with people that are a per item base. They want to calculate everything like, oh, I like to get X amount of dollars per item when I'm dealing. So just understand that everyone does their business a little different and learn how to do your business with those people in their language. And there's nothing wrong also if you're not on the same page. I've had that happen with the per unit buyers and sellers, the bulk ones. They're a little bit harder to deal with, in my opinion, with the way I like my buys to go, because that's the same type of thing that I got into trouble with the pallet deals. They're like, oh, it comes down to this much per item, and then 90% of it's all this junk
Exactly right.
and that's what starts to be the trend with those type of sellers. I've noticed
Yeah.
when it comes to bulk buying. So, what I am going to go to is the same thing. It's relationships, and my entire business was no different than anybody else's here at the beginning. I shouldn't say no different. I started out, instead of doing onesies, twosies in a thrift shop, it was auctions. But that's because I made that leap because I grew up in the auction world.
Yeah.
So auctions were not intimidating to me. They didn't scare me. I wasn't worried about it. I was steeped in it, familiar and comfortable. So when I started buying, but what I did initially, and I don't know if you could even really do this today. Well, probably. I wouldn't see why. Other than most auctions are going online, the day that I was doing this, tons of box lots were made available, tons of auctions on site house sales in my area were every weekend when the weather was nice. There was multiples of them going on from multiple auctioneers running house auctions or auctions in fire halls, all that kind of stuff, and all of them always had box lots.
We we have a local auction that will sell vintage off by the pallet.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Ugh,
I
talk
would
about getting
go.
yourself in trouble.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, one of the the things we would do very frequently. It was funny. I would go to auctions and they would have totes, like the plastic totes full of items and merchandise. So our base number was, well, I'll buy any tote that's $5 or under because at that time every tote cost $10 to $13,
Yep.
and I knew I could put those totes up online, get all my money back, so it made my product free.
Exactly.
So those are the concepts I went with when I first started selling, and of course, it was selling things on eBay, and then eventually, we scaled from that. We've tried storage units, which is very similar to your explanations and problems you run into with the pallets. You go in, you get to see, they don't let you go in and dig, just like in pallets. You're looking at it for face value on just a small portion of what you can see, and you have no idea what you're going to run into, none
Yep.
whatsoever. And we did a couple of those, tried those. You had some hits and some misses, and eventually I came to realize it wasn't worth it. We stuck with auctions, and then eventually we went to the whole Amazon selling, where we would do retail arbitrage.
Yep.
We'd go around and buy stuff in stores. None of that had to deal with relationships. It could have developing relationships with people, managers, and stuff like that. But when the real element that took off for us was in this world of whatnot, where the relationships became real big, um, was going to flea markets, going to other antique malls, things of that nature, where the people that are out there doing all this sourcing that you're doing and connecting with them and building a peer person to person relationship and telling them what you're interested in, because they're more than happy to make a few extra bucks, even if it's something that they're not isn't in their wheelhouse.
Yep.
They'll buy it and flip it to you. They were more than happy to do this kind of stuff. Or you go to flea markets and you see people week after week with stale inventory that you could move in volume online, and it's just they're succumb to the exposure effect where it's out on their table week after week, so no one's going to buy it.
Yep.
And you offer to buy it all in bulk, and they give you a great price because they understand it's time to refresh and recapitalize, and they can use the money. All those elements I started employing. And then you develop a relationship. They're happy because you bought a huge pile of stuff off of them. Next thing you know, you're showing up and they're like, hey, I got totes of stuff back here that I bought you might be interested in. They call you, you start exchanging numbers. Next thing you know, you're buying fulls of stuff, you're buying trailers full of stuff. And then it just snowballs. And now you have a situation like I'm in where people are calling me trying to unload stuff on the regular. And it's a nice problem to have, but
Oh,
then
that's a great problem.
it turns into
I
another problem where if you don't keep buying, you don't want to lose them. So
Correct.
it's that given that element starts becoming another aspect you have to start dealing with, because there's no two ways about it. They're going to understand that they're a source of yours, and if they get an idea that you don't want to lose them as a source, they'll leverage that and they'll start upping their prices and all that kind of stuff. And then the other beauty is if you develop enough relationships and don't become reliant on anyone, which I've been through this. If anyone knows, I've been in a situation like this. So the avenue is to get more sources and not be relying on any one source in a relationship, to then push back on things, and they start writing themselves as far as prices go. But it's all in the relationship. And to get back to the way I source, I now source in bulk, because I make sure I source that in manners that fit within my business model.
Mm.
I like to sell the live sorting, not knowing and taking advantage of all the behavioral principles. That's a topic for another day. But one of the other main reasons I source the way I do, where I buy in bulk lots, bundles, situations where I'll give you an example here in a second as well. Most of that's to eliminate the biggie, the loss aversion principle. I don't like being impacted by that during my shows. And if you don't know what that is, well, I'll go over that real quick. It's where a loss feels twice as bad as a gain feels good. So if I'm selling stuff and I know what I paid for each individual item, and I take a loss on an item, it's going to affect the outcome of my entire sale. It's just going to change the dynamic. So I try to make sure I buy in quantities in bulk where I don't know what any particular item is costing me, and I can look at it as a large, you know, uh, umbrella perspective, let's
Yep.
say. So I don't know if you want me to keep rambling or if somebody wants to take up and start talking.
I will say one of the things, and this is pre whatnot, when Tony and I sold a lot of vintage decor and we were buying vintage by the pallets. um one you know, our problem came into play is that there just wasn't enough time to research and go through it all to get it listed on eBay, because the static listing sites and doing all of that researching, or to like pre-list on whatnot, just took so many labor hours.
Yep.
And how many storage units did you have at one point?
5.
Yeah, but
And a 40-foot shipping container.
But these were 500 square foot storage units.
And
Yeah.
a 40-foot shipping container and a 1,500 square foot building. We literally had listed product in 7 different locations that we would have to go to when it's sold to find. But I mean, this was before the grocery store, Jeremy. We're talking 6 years ago. I mean, I had 6,000 static listings on eBay.
Oh boy, if there was a whatnot back then.
Oh my word.
Man.
Then I'd be in
Man.
shipping hell.
Yes.
Oh man.
But we weren't even like, that wasn't even just all smalls that back then. We were happy to ship the things that no one else liked to ship back then. You know, the big 6-foot mirrors, the huge lamps and stuff, right? Most people don't even want to take a chance with that because it's too big of a gamble in shipping.
Well, shipping was reasonable, a lot more reasonable back then. If I
Yes, it
started,
was.
when we started 15 years ago now, probably working on over 15 years ago, you could ship. I mean, we shipped some crazy stuff. I'm talking like we sold bicycles and we would take the
Yep.
wheels off and, pack them up and ship them and they would get to places safely and it didn't cost more than the bike, it cost to
Exactly.
get it to somebody.
Exactly.
I do think it's interesting though, because you're like, you talk about the shipping on vintage, like, oh my gosh, and hey, yeah, vintages, it could be quite a bit to ship. I will admit. However, I think it's a trade-off. When you are sourcing in the way where we're picking onesies and twosies, I don't have the waste on the back end. I don't have to spend hours sorting through products and having, all of the waste from a pallet. So there's give and take either way. I think
Oh,
my work is on
100%.
the back end with the shipping, whereas with the pallet, a lot of your work is going to be on the front end with the sorting.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
So while we
absolutely.
didn't spend all the time that you do, we didn't spend it going outsourcing to
Yeah.
places to pick the individual
Just that.
items, because all we had to do was call up one of our wholesalers and be like, here's what we're looking for. You got it? And
Where's my next truckload?
5 days later, a truckload shows up. But there was a lot of labor there in getting it ready for sale.
But
Yes.
now you have the beauty of the live sorting option on live stream selling. So you're not pre-sorting, you're sorting live, building the environment that people like that compounds the value of the item you end up finding to sell.
You cannot do that with consumables.
I'm not
No
that's
way.
I'm
No.
talking in comparison to the ones and twosies aspect that Tracy was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're doing the pallet stuff, you're gonna probably your load of non-sellable to sellable is going to outweigh the value of doing. People are going to
Which
be like, okay, you can't sell that great. Okay, you can't sell that great. It's going to be too
Yeah.
much of that kind of stuff.
you have to do all that before the show, so it doesn't impact the amount of money you can make in a show.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the bottle of shampoo that busted open in the pallet,
And you have to clean
and
it.
all that nasty goo is on 100 products.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
But I also think you probably can. I mean, you could probably do curated with even with the pallets. You could do those type of shows.
100%.
I do know the way that where I'm at right now and where I hope to go, I still like I won't buy something if it doesn't fit within a theme that I know I run a show for.
Hmm.
So I run
Yep.
very curated shows, and the fact that I can go to the antique store and hand pick items really helps me bring the value and
Hmm.
up the prices I'm getting with that curation. It's
Yeah.
very specific to my customer base.
I
Yeah.
have a question for you, Tracy. How many
Mhm.
hours? So you said you sell about 200 items a week at this point.
Yeah, I'm between like 175, 200 when I'm not traveling for work. Yes.
What's your time input on finding all of
So
those 200 items and then maybe cleaning them? I don't know. I
yes,
would assume
she
from the auction you
I
have to
do.
clean
Yeah.
some of those items.
Well, I clean maybe 10% of the items. Most of them get sold without being cleaned, but there you get stuff that is just nasty sometimes that
Yeah.
you have to clean.
yeah.
Um, Let's so every Saturday, it's at least 8 hours on Saturday, probably another 2 to 3 during the week. 2 to 3 looking and then picking up the auction items. So it's either myself or Noelle is going to pick stuff up. So
So
it's a
you're
considerable
looking
amount
at
of time. It's probably a good, 15 hours easy.
yes, so you're looking at 15 hours of time to sell 200 items a week.
Pretty much, yep.
I mean,
It's not sustainable long term or for growth. And
yeah.
like I was saying earlier, I'm in that weird spot in the middle now
Hmm.
where I can't go to Goodwills. That's not enough for me. It's I'm not making the money there. It's not the product. The quality is not there for me. And it's too time consuming for the one or two pieces I may be able to find. So I'm not there. Auctions and antique stores are kind of where it's at while I'm trying to develop those long term, more bulk type relationships.
Yeah, and the bulk relationships you're looking for are basically doling out, not even doling out, but letting people know what you want. So they're almost curating for you on your behalf. Like, hey,
Hmm.
I'm interested in this stuff, and if you can get a bunch of it together,
Yep.
I would like to buy it. So, and that for your system, I mean, that'd be 100% ideal, especially for your growth trajectory. It seems. Yeah, I mean, you're
Absolutely.
almost going to have to get there, right? The
Yeah,
way you're going, like it's
I have to,
essential for
else I
you.
won't, yeah, I won't, if I can't develop those relationships, I'm stalled where I'm at as far as there's only so much you can get this way.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I'll watch, and I'm not gonna name names, but you'll see on social media, some of these sellers who are considered larger sellers, and there's a whole documentary of going to this antique store and this antique store, then this one, and it's like, how sustainable in the long term is that business model? Like
Well,
really how,
my opinion looks at sustainability or growth. There's just a plateau, in my opinion,
yes.
with a potential towards degradation increases. If you can't grow, you start, degrading
Trying to get
and
better
yeah, yeah,
profit on cheaper stuff.
yeah. Well, what
Yeah.
and I feel like in those environments too, those are some of the most competitive environments that you could
Yeah.
potentially get into, and they're always going to increase in competition because almost everyone you talk to has the same kind of story, like Tracy said. And what I said, I may have skipped one little step, and that's going into thrift stores, but that seems to be one of the biggest, progressions. It's like yard sales slash thrift stores to auctions, and then from auctions to trying to develop relationships and buy. And the
Well,
relationship thing is where you really start to be able to shine and take control of your business, where all the rest, you're just in open competition.
mm,
Everything
Hmm.
else under a relationship is open competition. Not that the relationship doesn't have competition, it's just way more limited.
yep.
You start becoming, you rely on them, and you try to make sure that they rely on you to a certain extent. With you're making them money in certain avenues that were not open up to them, that weren't available to them before, and you kind of get a security there, more of a security in order to build and grow your business. Where everything else that we're talking about, that Tracy's alluding to, you're capping out, and competition is just,
Hmm.
it's riddled. It's just,
Yep.
And that's kind of where Tony and I are with jewelry and sourcing jewelry. We have some that comes through the front door, and we've built some relationships. We live in an area where there's I told you you did that show at that flea market, and I'm like, where are these flea markets at? Because
mhm,
that doesn't exist around here.
Right.
yeah.
And it just kind of got my mind rolling, because where we first went is we went to pawn shops and talked to the owners of the pawn shops and started with relationships there. And there's only, I think, one jewelry seller at our flea market.
Yeah.
And we've cultivated some coming through the front door, but we've supplemented with online, but we're competing with everybody else.
We
Well,
did.
So relationships and finding those ways to make, first finding those people to make relationships, and then making those relationships is where really where we got to
I,
go.
I just got to throw this out there. Okay. The availability to do it online is out there and is accomplishing it from a distance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And kudos to her. That comes with Project M. She's finding her way for her generation, which isn't the same as me. Trying to do that type of communication is not my ball of wax. It's not something that I'm
Right.
going to be any good at. She's doing a great job. She's developing them, making somewhere, you contact, personally, and, at some, predetermined location or whatever. And then other ones, she's starting to develop that if they continue to come to fruition, will become a sustainable a resource, a source where she can continue to go back to and buy from.
Mm-hmm.
And it is no loss to anybody that the way you accomplish that is the same way. When you start throwing out the ability to buy large quantities of merchandise with, and you have the cash to back it up, that is the first link to creating that relationship. And once they know you're reliable and know you can put the money into it, then the stuff starts coming in. And,
Yep.
Em has managed to do that. She's starting to put her toe into larger purchases. She just bought a crazy jewelry pile where she negotiated the deal via online. And, as long it's not completed yet, money's been sent, product's on its way. We'll see how it all looks. The nice thing about that is, you do it through PayPal and you have all the securities, the buyer and
Mm-hmm.
seller protections and stuff. So both parties agreed to that for both people to be safe. And it's a big buy. I
Yep.
mean, it's $12,000 buy she made, and it's full of Juliana and all kinds of, just, Miriam Haskell stuff. It's a crazy pile, but the point is, when you have the money, that's where the relationship will start. I don't want to candy coat it for anyone. That's usually the big ticket aspect that really gets that rocking and rolling for you if that's the
Yep.
direction you're trying to go.
But I want to mention too, though, because I can just imagine there's a lot of people either here tonight watching this or may watch it in the future and be like, I don't have 12,000 to throw on something.
Yes.
And you can still develop relationships. You can still buy in bulk. If it doesn't have to be $12,000 in
No.
bulk, like um, the way that I've been able to do it. Because when I first started, this was like, I'm not really sure this is a business, but it's going to be very small amounts. I wasn't going to throw a lot into it. I was already working full time. I didn't need the money. I was very, very cautious about everything. And it started with I would go to the antique store and spend $100.
Hmm.
Week after week, you go back, you're building the relationships,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking. Then it's $300 every time I go. And now it's 800 or 900 every time I go. And now, then it gets up to, okay, now I'm, dropping 1,500 and it climbs and climbs. And they start to see that as you're building these relationships and they start to be more receptive to you where they're like, hey, I'm going to give you all the discounts. I know you're reselling this. They're learning who you are. So then it starts to build up and you're getting more items for the amount of money you're putting out because they're trying to reciprocate to you at the same time. So it's a build up. It's not like most of us don't come into this being able to drop that money. And Jeremy, I'm sure too, just from
No.
hearing your story that you have built up to
Yeah.
this
And
place. So it is doable though. Like even if you're starting at $50 a week somewhere and then it's 100 and they get to know you, it's a progression.
yeah, my
Yep.
point that I was trying to make is it's
Mhm.
tied to the money.
Mhm.
It's shelling out the money to
100%.
get it done. And the other aspect, that relationship didn't happen. It didn't start out that way. The relationship that M made, no transaction happened. It was a natural progression of, oh, you have this. What if I take this too? What if I take this too? It was a back and forth that went on
Mm-hmm.
till eventually it was like, hey, you have all this. I'm interested in all of it. What will you do if I buy all of it? It's the
Yep.
same principle. It just all
Yep.
happened and ended up being that large amount. And yes, I have the luxury of being able to afford to make that happen. but still, it just everything you're talking about still happened in that
Yes.
transaction, just in a
Mhm.
shorter period of time in small incremental phases to build the relationship. And that's capable of happening in a rapid pace, especially with in my opinion, with the younger generation used to having things happen way faster than what we're
100%.
comfortable or used to doing.
Mhm.
I like to meet people. I like to get comfortable with them. I like to know M's another breed where, oh, like I talked about the PayPal aspect, gave that comfort of, for the transaction to happen where, we're both protected from the buyer side and seller side. So it's just not the world that I work in, but it still allowed for that progression that you're talking about, Tracy, to happen just very quickly. And it wouldn't have had to. I could have seen how she could have made a, couple $100 purchase and then went back and made a couple $1,000 purchase and then eventually and through the communication, it turns out that the lady, the person she's buying from, is very happy because she was like, "Oh, I'm willing to give you a great deal because I want to go back to my source that has a great pile of stuff and don't want to miss the opportunity to go restock."
Yeah.
And of course, guess what that means? Now she's going
More
to be
stuff.
buying
Got more
even
coming in.
more
Yep.
because she has a buyer that's going to buy. M's going to
Yep.
be there to buy.
Yep.
So I'm just
And
really proud of her that she managed to accomplish that and is grasping these principles somewhat fast. I'm the one that was like, why don't you just ask her what she wants for all of
Right.
it?
Right.
So and that's just her being a responsible buyer, spending my money. She was like, I didn't know if you want me to, go that crazy. So,
that's one of the reasons I had talked about when we got into the pallet game. It wasn't we just bought a pallet. We were a piece buyer when we bought this grocery store. We were buying everything. Literally went and spent $200, brought it back to the store, sold it. Took the $300, bought $300 worth of stuff, came back to the store and sold it. Took the $600 by the piece, and that's how we started until we got into case packs, and then we bought our first pallet. And I think it took us what, probably 3 years, 3 years
Before we bought
before we
truckload.
moved from pallets to truckloads.
Yep.
Because as Jeremy pointed out and was asking questions, the the space
the,
involved as well as the
the cost
machinery
to scale
involved
Yeah.
could need to scale up to from pallets to
truckloads.
truckloads is pretty insane.
Yeah, I can go pick up 4 pallets from anywhere, within a 5-hour radius and still be back in the same day. But truckloads are a whole different ball game. I can't go buy 26 pallets from somebody and take 8 days to truck them
Yeah,
back and forth 4 pallets at a
because they want
time.
space in their warehouse.
Yes.
I think the thing that I would like to press upon people is if you're sourcing, start building the relationships right away and look for the opportunities to capitalize on it. Because most people go into this, and myself included, you just go in thinking, "Oh, I'll just buy stuff and you try to negotiate, per item, and then you just keep going about it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to that, always be on the ready to ask people if they have more of any said products
Hmm.
that they might have out. If you're doing like the flea market thing, or even when you go to yard sales, ask if anyone has anything still in the house that might be of interest to you. Give them a list of stuff you're interested in, um, and start developing the relationships as early as you possibly can, because that's something that took me years to start realizing that that's going to be essential for a successful business model. Um, so
One of the things I've been doing at antique stores is not only am I going to purchase, I've got to go and replenish every weekend, but I'm looking for those booths where the owners are there. And I'm purposely going to go in there and wander around, pick up things, maybe even buy something, even if I don't really quite want to buy something from their booth, and start talking to them. Oh, is this your booth? I love your booth. I've frequently bought here before. Tell me about it. I got a great contact with a glass lady like that, and I'm like, do you ever have old stock? I would love to buy out old stock. If you're ever, clearing out your shelves, bringing in new stuff, let me know. And start not only just developing with the people who work at the front desk, but like one of the things I've specifically been doing is looking for the owners of those booths who are restocking to start having those conversations, and not just one weekend. Go back to next weekend. If I know that they're restocking on Saturdays, I'm going to keep showing up on Saturdays and keep talking to them
Did
over and
I
over and over.
did I just hear you say you're going out and talking to people,
I
Tracy?
am. I am. Yes.
What?
I know. Look, and I'm going to preface this because I do not like people. Like, I know people online that. I do not like people in real life. Like, let's just put it out there. I am very introverted. I am very shy. I do not want to talk to people. When I travel, I put my headphones in and put my hoodie on. I'm like, leave me alone. But you're not going to grow your business. You're not going to get to
No.
that next level or get those relationships if you don't talk to people. So find that commonality. Like for me, it's the vintage decor. I could talk about how beautiful the glass is or some of the pottery makers. There's something in their booth, if I'm already shopping there, that we have in common. Play on what you have in common and use that as a way to be comfortable in talking to them.
Soon you're going to be just randomly talking to people in aisles and creating opportunities you had never knew were possible to source.
Possibly.
No, it
Exactly.
will. It'll happen. That's what happened to me. I was super introverted, didn't like to talk to anybody. And I've said this before, being online and selling live stream selling I would have told you you're absolutely all, crazy and nuts if you think I was going to be doing that. But now I've sourced and managed to buy stuff just by engaging with people out and about.
Tracy in the
When I go
mosh
out
pit.
to eat, when I'm sitting down, if I go, decide to grab a meal at the bar or something like that, I'm engaging with people, talking to people, taking opportunities. You figure out how to get small talk going, talking about what you do and what they do. Next thing you know, you're either have another source, like people ends up. I mean, I've had situations where you find out people are house clean out. They do house clean outs,
Yep.
and then next thing you know, they're bringing you stuff to sell. Like there's story upon story upon story like that. That just by an internal change in the way you decide to let go, decide to exercise the freedoms that you have to start becoming less introverted. I know it's scary. I've been there. Trust me, been there. Had to force myself into all through all those fears. But once you do it, you'll be surprised at what becomes available to you. So, and you'll start noticing way more opportunities for buys because you're not scared to talk to
Absolutely.
people, like the people behind the the booths, like in the booths, like Tracy's talking about, or the people behind the tables at flea markets and stuff. Once
Yep.
you start getting comfortable, can actually engage with them. Next thing you know, there's tons and tons of products uh, coming your way. Tracy in a mosh pit. I like that.
I know.
Well, I'm not sure if that's
Yeah.
ever going to happen, but
the the other thing I do want to talk about, and I don't know if anyone else has any stories of like taking advantage of opportune moments when it presented itself. Like Tony, you were talking about going into that location, and eventually the person was like, "Hey, I noticed you guys buy this stuff," and then you took the opportunity to take all of it.
Oh,
I don't know if you have any other stories like that that might help people realize
so yeah, so I
in the
was
moment type of opportunities and how to notice or recognize them and take advantage of it.
so I'm gonna what's that, Noah?
He was talking to Tracy.
Oh, gotcha.
Keep talking.
So yeah,
giving
I
the
was gonna
instructions.
use the same thrift store with a different example as well. Um, so we were going to this thrift store. I mean, I had this 1,500 square foot building. It's like a block away from our grocery store, and that thrift store was in the same little flea market center. So we were over there every single day. And, like I said, they said, "Hey, I've got all this stuff, it's too much, can you take a look at it and see if it's what you want?" And then they started letting us in the back door every single day that we came over. Then they moved to the north side of town, and we can't get up there on a daily basis. There's
Hmm.
just not enough time, right? But we do still go up occasionally, and we still had the relationship with the people. And one day I just asked her, I said, "Hey, I'm
Keep
looking
jewelry in?
I'm looking for jewelry. Do you know where we can get, just quantity of jewelry?" She goes, "How much you want?" And I said, "As much as I can get." And she says, well, I can just sell you all of mine before we put it out on the shelf, because jewelry takes forever for us to sort, untangle, bag, price, and put on the shelves for $1 or $2.
No, they sold everything for $2.
$2, right? Yeah.
$2. And they had someone untangle all the spaghetti, put it in a little baggie. They bought baggies for it,
Yep.
priced it at $2. Ugh.
So
Lot,
we just
lot
so
of
we just said,
labor.
yeah, it's a ton of labor. It's a ton of labor. So I said, well, we've been buying it by the pound when people walk into our store. Would you sell it to us by the pound? And yep, she sure will. So we started. Yeah, again,
What'd she have? 42 pounds?
it was like 40 pounds, 40 pounds of jewelry. So, I mean,
And then the next week and a half later, she called it up.
hey, I've got like 25, I've got like 25 more pounds. I'm like, I'll take it. They have changed
Management.
yeah, changed management. So I don't necessarily have that same relationship.
Now we got to get back in the inn.
But I need to go back and start
Smooching her.
schmoozing. But I need to go back
Smooching,
and
huh? I don't think you'd like that there.
no.
That's
I can't say it. It's
I
so
can't
funny.
say it.
It's so
But
funny.
that's what I call it, because I am like Tracy. I don't talk to people in public a lot.
No, she
I
doesn't.
dealt at a casino for 7 years and did call center work before that. And I have gotten to the point with those jobs that I just like, nope,
No.
don't want to do it. And so Tony is the person that kind of goes out for us, and we probably miss a lot of opportunities. I mean, Jeremy, you talked about that you were very surprised meeting me in person. You're like, I just
I
thought
was
you were
gonna-
just going to be out there, and
Well,
I'm not.
That's not what I expected, but your demeanor is way different than it is on camera.
If she will just open up, that's her naturally.
Mm-hmm.
How she is on camera with her and I just bantering back and forth, that is her. Add a new person to the mix and she immediately just clams up.
Yeah, but I'm not new.
You were in person, you were.
What?
Not to mention the intimidation factor.
Get out.
I don't know. I think we hear this,
It's
I'm
true.
introverted, I'm shy thing, and like I'm right there. I've said it for years myself, and to describe myself that way. My personal opinion about it is, it comes down to how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
How bad do you
Whatever
want
works,
this?
Millicent.
That's exactly right.
How far are you going to push yourself
Smooching.
outside your comfort zone? If this is keeping a roof over your head, you're going to probably push yourself really far. If you don't need it, you're probably going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. So it's,
Oh, I guarantee if something happens to me tomorrow, Lysandra will figure out a way to.
Oh, I'll become chatty catty.
Yeah,
Let's go.
That's it. That's exactly right. As the need arises, she will happily get there. But again, I mean, it's that was one example with the jewelry. With our old auction, you talked about buying totes. It got to the point at our old auction place where they would run through the auction and then they would just start selling whatever was left by the shelf. And if it didn't sell by the shelf, they'd sell it by the whole rack. And if it didn't sell by the rack, they'd sell it by 5 racks. So if you just wait long enough, you can get 5 racks of product for $3.
Yeah.
It's all about figuring out how to get quantity of items for cheap in a manner that's good for whatever it is you're sorting or sourcing for.
I know this isn't personal, but there is a seller, a whatnot seller in Lexington, and if she also struggles with the 9 to 5, Tracy.
Yeah.
And consistency on the app. And if, oh my God, if she could get the consistency down, the sky's the limit for her, because she has the personality and she figured out sourcing like no other.
Yeah.
And what she does, Jeremy, a lot of things that she does is she contacts people on Facebook Marketplace. They might only be selling one piece of jewelry, but if it interests her, she contacts them and strikes up a conversation with them. And inevitably she wins their trust, and she's like, what do you have anything else? And the
That
amount of times that people have invited her over into their bedrooms, into their house, and like,
hmm
I've got all this jewelry.
Yeah.
hmm
She
And
literally turned a 5 brooch listing into a 1,000 piece lot
Yeah,
in a
that
week.
with that,
that's what I'm talking about with M. That's what
Yeah.
M's on. That's M's world, and that's where she's
Yep.
sourcing and finding stuff, developing the relationships that
hmm
are continual. That's where she found a lot of her sources on
Oh,
Facebook,
yeah,
absolutely.
and it's not, and that's the thing. You either realize that there's an opportunity there more than just the buy of the item. That's the big differentiating factor for people. If it comes to sourcing, you can't look at it in a binary perspective. You can't go, oh, that person has it on there. I'm just going to buy that and call it a day. You need to communicate, you need to engage even online
Absolutely.
like that. And that's what she's doing. That's what she's been doing. Makes those connections that way. Me, like I said, I do it in with in-person environments, but she's the next generation, and that's what opportunities can be presented. But it literally is still being willing to take that next step, be
hmm
willing to ask the questions. No one's going to get mad at you if you're like, "Hey, do you have any more that you're interested in selling?"
no.
I
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
not I'm not
no,
gonna
I'd rather
lie.
waste all my time listing all of it and waiting to deal with numerous people and a bunch of people asking me if it's still available and never responding out, all the stuff that everyone hates. Of course, they're going to want to talk to you about selling you more merchandise.
I'm not
So,
gonna lie, a purchase like that. I mean, you just gave the details, you just gave the dollar amount, and you just gave the fact that you're trusting PayPal to protect you. I'm not gonna lie, for something that large, I
oh,
probably would have made the drive.
no, 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 that wasn't there's more protections because I'm not going to say where it was purchased. That wasn't on Facebook.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Um, yeah,
I mean,
we've had online dealings
Mhm.
where PayPal is not the protection that it says it
Yeah.
is, or
I'm
it,
not going to go into great detail.
yeah, good.
There's multiple layers of protection. I'm
Okay,
not.
you're
I'm
good.
not worried.
You're
Not
good.
I
worried
mean,
about.
You're good.
I
But even then, I mean, my thing is something that large. Make a drive, guys. I mean, what's it gonna take you? A day, maybe two? Hey, here's a vacation. Lysandra and I turn sourcing trips into our little mini vacations. We come to Pennsylvania, right? We have a vacation with Tracy and Noel and Jeremy,
and
but
then
we're
I
either
go,
doing a meetup
um,
or we're sourcing and we're
I,
doing whatever we need to
I'm
do.
on marketplace and find this woman that's got this little jewelry box, and then we drive 45 minutes north of Tracy and Noel, and late to meeting someone, another reseller out
And
whatnot.
but end up with a 40-pound tote of jewelry. It just is what it is.
Do
So
you have any tales of opportunity, Tracy?
My husband's telling me Mexico, but for the life of me, I have no idea what he's talking about. So, we've had,
oh Lord, I
he's
know
going to
what
need
he's
to tell the
talking
story.
about.
I mean, we have none that I want to like necessarily go into a lot of detail publicly about, but um, it's really just been through contacts where it's like, hey, I've got something, and you're like, okay, and I think one of the things I've learned from you and listening to you talk is being willing to put the money out there, to being willing to maybe spend a little bit more on the front end while you're developing that relationship.
hmm
Show them that you're willing to do your part in it. I think that is going to go a long way in long-term sustainable relationships.
I
So.
mean, we all say that. I mean, we all agree. I think we
Mhm.
all agree with that. The biggest thing in while this doesn't necessarily have to do with sourcing, but it does have to do with sourcing, is you may put $12,000 out for whatever it is you're sourcing. How much are you making on the back end while you're trying to
hmm
build because all of us are on
Yeah,
whatnot right now. So
Mhm.
how much can you profit off of that in the beginning?
and
Or do you just say, hey, look, again, a cost of marketing, right? I'm going to spend this money to try to build my
yeah,
whatnot channel and make it bigger 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 9 months down the road.
and that's not something that a standard person is going to do with a $12,000 buy.
That's a steal.
No.
Right. You got to real. I mean, we got to put things in context. Let
Well,
me go back to
you
what
can put
Tracy
the
was
same.
talking about. If it's a $50 or $100 buy, and Tracy's basically saying that if I'm reading into what she's saying properly, taking the opportunity to spend $50 for something you may break even or lose a couple bucks on in order to get your foot in the door to start
Mhm.
buying in larger quantities at
Yes.
the discounts you need
Oh
to
yeah.
make a profit. I have, built to the point where the opportunity for, if I'm doing a $12,000 buy, it's because there's going to be way more
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
opportunity coming along.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a scalable
Yep.
element.
And
So,
if I could afford a $12,000 buy right now today, that I know I could either make marginal profit on today and build my whatnot show up over the course of the next month, but then be able to buy the next $12,000 buy next month and be able to significantly do better. I would do that in a heartbeat right now. I have no problem with it,
mhm,
providing I had the initial 12,000 to drop all at one time.
mhm,
But I
But
think people get nervous, even when we're not looking at numbers like,
yeah,
large thousands of
yeah,
dollars. When you're looking
50,
at like,
100 or $200.
yeah, and
yeah,
like an auction lot, and you're looking at auctions, and I know I went through this at the very beginning. Auctions were new to me when I came to Whatnot, like not Whatnot auctions, but buying from auctions as a form of sourcing were
probably.
100% new to me. And at the very beginning, I was like, okay, well, I'll bid $10. Like, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, easily will bid a few $100s on a lot. It's a growth process. It's understanding
Mhm.
what's
So,
in it, obviously, what, the contents are, but it's a growth process of being more comfortable to do
Yeah.
that.
so
So,
I know you've been focusing on average order value a lot and raising that, Tracy. What has been your mindset, and what have you been doing with your sourcing to raise your average order value?
Quality. Number one is a higher quality item demands a higher price, and the buyers know it. The buyers know when they see something of quality. They know when they see something more unique, a little
Hmm.
bit different than what somebody else is bringing. And that is my focus on my Saturday shows: is higher quality, as unique as I possibly can get. And it's absolutely resulting in higher average order values, like phenomenal higher average order values.
But what has been your mindset in making those leaps? And because you do dollar starts, right? So you're
Mhm.
taking a leap of faith that these items that you are paying more for are also going to be bid up more in your show.
It's the mindset is, I mean, we go back to, and I know, and I'm not sure if you're leading me down the road to talk about this or not, but um, I talk about this theory with sourcing a lot. I have boundaries around my sourcing. I have three rules I follow with every single thing I buy, whether it is a large bulk buy, a big lot at an auction, or an individual item. Do I want to ship this? Does it fit within the themes that I'm selling? I'm not going to go buy a bunch of Funko Pops because they're a great price. I don't sell Funko Pops. They don't fit in my theme. So do I want to ship it? Does it fit in my theme? And can I reasonably expect to make my money back on this with some profit? I know I started at $1. If I'm holding something in my hand that I'm going to pay $20 or $30 for, I have to reasonably expect that my buyers are going to bid that up higher than that. Now I can look at it on an individual basis, or I can look at it across the board. If I'm buying 100 items in a lot and say, okay, maybe some of them won't, but in total, yeah, I think across the board these will get bid up over the cost that I'm spending, or the cost, yeah, that I'm spending. So I have very strict boundaries around it, and that's my mindset when I source, no
Are
matter at what level I'm sourcing at.
Do you still source like you used to? Because I've said it many times. It's very refreshing going through a thrift store with you, because you don't look up anything. You're just like, yep, I'll take that. Go over here. Yep, I'll take these.
Mhm.
And there's no comping or looking up values, and you still don't do that with get, paying more for items to build your quality.
Very rarely will I look something up. It's when I see something so unique that I have no experience with, and my like spidey sensors are going off, and I'm like, I think this is something. I may look it up then, but it's very rare. No, I have my boundaries. My boundaries make it very clear, which is part of also the efficiency comes in where I can get through. You know, if I'm not there for a lazy afternoon at an antique store, I can get in and out in an hour
I know.
with, 80
Yeah, it's
items like
crazy.
that.
She likes speed races.
It's crazy. It's
The
crazy watching their source in a store.
the research based principle of buying and selling is entirely different platforms. What Tracy's talking about is
Mhm.
exactly what people need to be doing to buy and sell on the live stream. You're creating your own environment, and you know what prices you can get, and it's your job to know that. So you, when you go out and source, you can do exactly what Tracy's talking about. You have to know that. Now, otherwise, you might as well just go back to the old way of selling. That the selling on object based platforms where you're gonna comp everything. You're gonna go out there and make sure you guarantee a profit according to the comps you found. But when you have your own, base of supporters, your own base of buyers, and your own environment that you're selling in, you know what you can get for the item, so you know what you can pay for them. I mean, are you going to be wrong on some of them? Absolutely, but
Yes.
again, you're dealing with aggregates and averages because no matter which way you're doing, you're selling so many items through the course of a sale. The speed at which you can do it on these platforms, no matter what fashion you're doing it, whether you're technically doing it in the volume fashion like me, or doing it more curated, it's still volume in comparison to the other platforms. So that makes up for your gaps and some potential losses from piece to piece, but it's still, you
Mhm.
know, one of those attributes that when it comes to sourcing, that live selling provides the opportunity for you to be able to source so much faster and or in quantity. Even if it isn't in quantity in bulk like we're talking about, previously what you're talking about Tracy doing, being able to go into a thrift store environment and just go like bloop, bloop, bloop. This I look at it, make sure it's not falling apart. I know those three things and I'm out the door with it.
Yep.
Mhm.
And like you said, uh um earlier, well, just a couple of seconds ago. Otherwise, you're in there comping everything, taking
Mhm.
pictures, looking it all up, seeing if you can find everything, and then you spend 3 hours and walk out of the store with two items.
Or
It's
longer,
it's just not
or
worth it. And
longer
then
for less.
yeah, or you leave with none of it.
Yep.
And then you make the bad decision of I've been in here for 4 hours, so I'm going to take an attempt on these two items to see if I make any money to make up for the time
Because
that I
because I
spent.
have because I have to walk out of there with
It's
something to make
something.
up for the time I just
Yep.
spent looking all this mess up. I
Yep.
know. I've done it.
It doesn't,
No,
because I
no,
know,
Yeah.
and I know you're sourcing with your price in mind. So Nimel's back here giving instructions, but with knowing your boundaries, like I do the dollar starts, it's not scary. Like I know that from the minute I'm buying the item. It's not, and this is where I think is such, and I don't want to go into our whole pricing thing. That's a whole, we could do a 10-hour show on that. But it's knowing what you're going to sell it for. When I'm sourcing, I've already made that decision. I could care less what happens in the show. I mean,
yeah,
ultimately, do I want to make money in the show? Yeah. But all the pressure, the worry, the stress of if I'm going to make money, it's gone.
Yeah.
I did that when I bought the item. I don't have to ever think about it again. I can comfortably come out and show it to you for $1 and not stress about it. It is what it is. And I do want to make a point because I'll say in my shows, you'll hear me say, "Oh, I researched this." That is more right before a show. I'm looking up makers, maybe. I'm giving myself talking points, and I'll write little index cards on pick a handful of items to help discussion points throughout the show.
so
I'm
you're
not
researching,
Researching
not
necessarily
the item is
comping.
comping.
Yeah,
Pardon?
you're researching, not comping.
correct.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm getting stuff
Historical.
to talk about,
Yes.
to carry conversation throughout the
Yeah.
show, not to look
Yeah.
prices up.
So I did want to bring up something, and with the volume that is going through Whatnot and other live selling platforms, um, and with Goodwill now putting everything online, then in their brick and mortar stores that they have, which have basically become clothing sales and donation centers. Have you found sourcing to become more difficult over the last few years? And Tracy, I don't know if you're there yet, but I know, I don't know if you ever did source at Goodwill. Goodwill sucks in my opinion, but
I am definitely. I can barely go to Goodwill. I mean, I'll go to Goodwill now, but where I used to get maybe 20 items a week, I'll get maybe one a week, if
Mhm.
that. There are many times I go to Goodwill and walk out with nothing now. versus where that used to be the main source. When I first started Whatnot, Goodwill was my main source, and it evolved from there. Um,
Yeah.
and the prices are too high, the quality's not there, it's too picked through. But I'm also finding it at auctions. I am finding auction prices are within the last year a noticeable difference in the
Hmm.
prices of auctions. At least
Higher.
were the ones I go to. Higher, yes.
Yeah, higher. 100% higher.
So you were talking about a story in terms of sourcing, and on one of those trips that she's been taking to different locations, she found this pottery that is made in a town called Tonalá in Mexico. And she started finding a lot of them. And eventually I told her, you know what? You want to really go and find it exactly where it comes from. And that's when we went to visit my family and we took a trip across country all the way to Tonala. It was kind of sad because the abundance of what used to be is not anymore. We came across a lot more of Chinese products offered in different places, but we did find a good little corner in a market that had a bunch of different things, and she had a field day with that. It was amazing to see her just going, I want to take this, I want to take that, I want to take that. And she was just like a
Well,
kid with
crazy.
a candy store.
Yeah.
So yeah, you turn a situation that you were hoping for one thing, it ended up not being there, but then you found the opportunity
Mhm.
to still end up
Yep.
buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that scenario literally happened to me this weekend on Saturday. So I had a situation where I worked out a with a relative of mine. He's an auctioneer. Actually, it was my uncle. He's an auctioneer. He stopped auctioning and decided to open his building up and decided to try doing a buying event. So it was the first time he was doing it, spent a bunch of money on advertising. And since there was a huge, colossal turnabout in his business model, I show up. Me and my brother both went there, and it was an 8 hour event. And I think about 10 to 15 people came in. And I bought, I think, less than $600 worth of goods, which 8 hours buying $600 worth of stuff, and the bulk of that was gold, which is basically just small margin, super light margin on that. But him being an auctioneer, and we have plenty of time to talk. I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm like, I noticed a pile of postcards, so I'm looking through the postcards, and I'm like, "Hey, you interested in selling these postcards? I want anything that's like ephemera. I'll take that stuff too. I like that. It's easy to ship." He's like, "You like ephemera? How about books?" I'm like, "If they're kids' books," he goes, "I have totes of them on this trailer." He opens up a 20-foot trailer, starts pulling. He didn't. He had a guy there was helping pulling books off, and I'm like, well, okay. We start looking at these books, and it's good. You know, it's not super old children's books, but it's all sellable. You know, golden books
Sure.
and readers, Tom, Dick, and Jane, all that kind of stuff. Um, and then I'm just walking to the trailer, and I start looking in the totes, and I'm like, what do you want for the trailer? The whole trailer load. He gives me a price. And I'm like, done. So I end up buying a 20-foot trailer worth of merchandise off of him just by talking to him about postcards from an event that was turning out to be a flop very quickly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's going to be a really good buy. You know, he only charged me, I think it was like $4,000 is what he said he wanted for the entire trailer. And the trailer
Wow.
is going to, yeah, yes.
Nice.
That's why when
Wow.
he said, I said, what do you want for the whole trailer? He goes, 4,000. I'm like, done.
Done.
Yeah.
As
I'm
Yeah.
fast
like,
as you can get it out.
Since
and
you'll
there's
you'll make a
besides the
thousand.
books, there's like that colorized there, just the stuff I saw on the top. There's even stuff that I'll be able to make money on. It's like tools and stuff that I'll send to auction. The
Yeah.
other nice thing is all the totes are labeled, so I still be able to live sort without needing to go through it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I can load up the vans, bring it back, and have a real good time live sorting for our Friday shows with who knows what we're gonna end up finding in this
You're
stuff.
gonna you're gonna make $1,000 back in selling totes.
Now Now there was some other there's some larger stuff that's it's gonna go to auction and be fine, but yeah, it was just a no brainer. So
Hey, let me backtrack one more thing. Let me give suggestion, ideas, scenarios real quick. We've talked about different ways of sourcing, and all of us have kind of glossed over. I know Jeremy talked about buying storage units. If you're if you are in the vintage decor space, or if you're in, that storage unit type of houseware or whatever, um, the best sourcing scenario I've ever heard for a whatnot seller on storage units. Love these guys to death. Bill and Nita, B Square Trading Post on whatnot. This is their business, is storage units. This is how they buy and resell storage units on whatnot. They purchase a storage unit, they rummage through the storage unit and take everything out of the storage unit that they feel they can sell on whatnot and comfortably ship, right? They're not taking any of this big stuff or crazy stuff. Then they have a lady
That's local.
that's local to them that sets up at a flea market.
Or has booths or
Booth.
something like that.
It's a flea market from the last conversation. She sets up her booths at a flea market. They worked a deal with her that she comes to the storage unit after they've taken everything that they want, and she takes everything else to the flea market for free. Cleans out the storage unit in total. They get rid of everything that's big or bulky or anything that they don't want to sell on whatnot. They buy it, they get all their good stuff, and they give everything else away, and they walk away from it without having to worry about the clean. That is just an idea. If any of the 30 people here, or whoever listens to this over the next couple weeks, if you are a storage unit buyer, that is a viable solution for storage units in moving bulk or volume on whatnot.
I want to. It is a good idea. I mean, I would definitely take if I was doing storage units, I would definitely be exploring that opportunity,
I think it's
that
fantastic.
avenue. Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
because my experience with storage unit is all the stuff you don't, all those items you don't want to deal with, just weigh down all the value. It's just
Absolutely.
expensive. The thing that I we didn't talk about at all is other avenues that I've actually utilized, and not even to the extent that I would like to, because of time constraints. We've been successful with every door direct mailers
Hmm.
as far as sourcing goes, and we had success with door hangers, which is something I think anybody that's just getting started, they're very inexpensive. You go walk around neighborhoods, towns, cities, and door hang with just an item list and a contact, old school style. You get some good exercise in, and it surprisingly works pretty well.
Yeah.
People contacting you, and it's where you want to be. You're getting right to the main source. You're not going to develop quite the lengthy relationships necessarily, because it's one-off situations, but it is a continual uh, principle that you can rely on. As far as a continual source, it would be the marketing concept in of itself. The doing all the direct mailers, you can recycle, like you have a certain circuit you do with the every door direct mailers every year. New people moving in, other people that weren't planning on selling at that time will sell the next year round. So it becomes something that can be a reliable sourcing opportunity for you, and has worked pretty well for us. One other thing that was surprising for us that worked, we didn't continue doing it. Um, was when we did, and I don't know how much it costs now. It wasn't that expensive then. We did movie theater advertising.
Huh. Do people even go to the movies anymore?
Yes. Yes, they still do.
One of the things that I with the direct mailers, one of the things that you kind of gave me an idea on, and I think we're gonna do this year, is to send one out to a neighborhood before they do their community yard sale.
Good
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Think about
Such a fantastic thought.
the 127 yard sale that so many people go to, and think, not just the neighborhoods. Like we have one that's called the Route 1. Is it Route 80 yard sale?
Whatever.
It hits a big town, but it goes for, 10 miles. You can buy routes on that along that 10 miles.
Hmm.
And what do you send them out? A month before the sale? Two
Well,
weeks before the sale?
well, that depends on how early they post it. And if it's something that happens every year,
Yeah.
you want to send it out pretty early. That way you
Yeah.
don't, they understand they don't feel that you're trying to take, because if you do it too close, they've already prepped,
Yep.
Yep.
you know.
And you're trying to
But
buy it
but
before.
I have had situations where they've got them and held on till the day before the sale, the yard sale, and they call me and go, "Hey, I have everything out for the yard sale. Do you want to come take a look before the sale?" And you betcha. And not only that,
Forever.
those have turned into the house.
Yeah.
Get
Yep.
in, you buy the stuff that they have, and then you're like, "Hey,
What
we
else you
buy
got?
all this other stuff." And next thing you know, I got one of the situations. I got into a house. The guy was an engineer, had all this stuff from Holland, all these little. It was perfect whatnot stuff. Right when we were getting into the rolling on whatnot, um, uh, the piano skirts. It was crazy. And they were moving too. They were in a situation where there was a community yard sale because they were getting ready to move to another state. We ended up getting a lot of nice stuff out of
Yeah.
there, and they were very reasonable with their prices. They were extremely happy because they were in a situation where they knew, hey, we need it out of here. We can't ask an arm and a leg for this stuff. So, you know,
Let's just get rid of
and
it all right now.
that all came from like a direct door,
Yeah.
EDDM that we sent to a community that was having a community yard sale.
And
Uh,
I'm sure prices have went up, but do you remember what those cost?
for the direct door, the
Hmm.
EDDMs, I
That
don't
was
remember.
painful.
It's one of those things. It was less than 40 cents a piece, all total in, with the cost of the
The
printing.
printing, yeah.
And the only thing that wouldn't, no, I've included that. I paid Steve-O, my warehouse guy, pretty much primarily a shipping guy at that point in time. He would take the mailers to the route that you
Gotcha.
had to take it. That's the only thing you have to be aware of. You have to take it to the post office that's responsible for the route that the mailers are going to go out to.
So now I think, how long has it been since you did that? Because now I think when I was talking to my post office about it, you go through their printers and they'll help you design it, and the printer sends it
You
directly to the
can, but
post
you don't
office.
have to. You
Gotcha.
can. There's been services for that. I don't do that. I just put the mailer together, go down to the post office, pay for it right at the post office. Gives me all the flexibility, and then we do all the bundling, put the bundles together. It makes me a little more comfortable knowing that it's going to happen the way I want it to happen. But
Yeah.
I also know that my mailers irritate the postal workers because
I do know. We call them flats
I
at the
send
post
out full
office.
my flyers are full sheet flyers.
We call them flats at the post office, and when we get the bundles of flats in the morning, you just all the eye rolls like
I
from
even
the.
had one of my employees complained about them because he was a postal worker before he started working for me. He was a friend of mine, and he's like, "Man, those things suck." He was all complaining he was getting paper cuts on him. He's like, it's like you're looking at it and throw them in a dumpster. Then I'm just like, you saying that means there's been some that ended up in a dumpster and they
Oh,
Yeah.
did not
absolutely
get to where
have.
they needed to go.
So
Hey,
I'm
hold on. Before you hit there, I'm just going to put it out there real quick. We have 12 minutes remaining. So we won't go into like any new topics, but we can kind of continue what we're doing unless you guys have any questions. If you don't have any questions and you're just enjoying the conversation, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. Appreciate that. But please participate and ask a couple questions.
so I just quickly did some math. So on my route that I run for our post office, there are 470 boxes on it, post office boxes. At 60 cents a pop, you're looking at $282.
Oh, yeah.
I
Get a
mean,
whole
it's
route.
for a whole route. That's
That's
470 houses.
that's
But
Yeah,
you can make it more micro than that, right? You don't have to do someone's whole route. You can say I want it on this street.
yeah. Well,
It gets more
no,
expensive.
you had to buy it by the route when I did it. Every time I did it, you'd click on a route and it would just pop up the whole route.
gotcha.
So
You
if
guys are
they've
funny.
narrowed it down the streets now, that's interesting. And I would do, again, scale wise, I would, do 2 to 5,000 units.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Yeah. You guys are funny. I don't mean a thumbs up in the chat. Press the thumbs up button. What the heck?
You had to use the phrase like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
There you go. So, Lysandra, do you have any rapid fire questions for us today, or any other questions?
Oh, rapid fire questions.
I figured simply. I was just making a joke. That it was just kind of funny seeing 4 thumbs up back to back in the chat. That was just funny.
Let's see here. I had a bunch of them, but it wanted to go into pallets a lot more. Oh, here's a good one.
Uh-oh.
Is a hero item better or steady bread and butter inventory?
Steady.
Wait, what? Is it here? You talking about like
The
uh,
banger.
You're like
Banger?
yeah.
Is the one banger item better or the steady ho hum products to keep you? I mean, for whatnot, it's going to be
what
the steady
what
100%.
what I call your salary merchandise?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In my
I
opinion, you got to have both.
I that's my opinion too with live selling. If you adopt a steady only principle, you have to have the bangers in there because then you become stale and you will end up with a element of not element, you end up with diminishing returns on your entire value base. You need something to prop up your steady eddies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steady Eddies. Actually, this one's going to go more into story time, but I think it's a good way to end the podcast. What is the weirdest thing that you have found, bought, and sold?
Oh,
Tracy,
know
let's
mine.
start with you.
Yeah, and I think I've told this story before, but really the weirdest thing is I found a metal spoon and it had a little piece of turquoise on it. It was a very odd shaped spoon, and I don't know why. I knew it was something. I got it for like $3.99 or $2.99. It was super cheap at Goodwill at the very beginning of my whatnot days, and I just knew there was something to it. Could not find another one like it.
Tell me it
I
was a
looked.
Coke spoon.
No, it wasn't a
oh my
Coke spoon.
God.
But I just had a feel. Y'all know, you're resellers, you know, there's a feeling you get when there's something to it, right?
Oh, I have a piece of
So
jewelry right now that with that
yeah,
same feeling.
and I could not find nothing on this. So I ended up contacting a museum in New Mexico who specialized in Navajo pieces. Turned up out to be an original Native American piece. I sold it to that museum and made a good chunk of money on it.
No kidding. That's crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard that story.
No.
No.
What about you, Jeremy?
You want me to tell that story?
Yeah.
Do you know what story I have to tell for that question?
No.
It
No.
has to do with mason jars. You've
Don't think
never
I've heard
heard
No.
this
that
one.
story? Ask the
Uh,
question again. I'll make sure I can maybe not.
What is the weirdest thing that you have found, bought, and sold?
Oh man. Okay, here we go.
Here it comes.
Turns out this came because we did an advertisement in the merchandiser saying that we wanted medical oddities.
Oh
Oh shit.
Oh
no.
no.
I told you, get ready for a story.
She ended up
This
with
guy,
eyeballs and kidneys.
I just hold on, hold
Oh,
on. There's people here that know this story. So we get this call from this younger guy. He calls us and goes, I got some stuff. My dad used to be a doctor and he had a practice in our house downstairs, and I live in the house now. So we go, and it's some medical, it's equipment and different things, utensils, like tools, medical tools and stuff like that. And then Shane goes, yeah, we can buy some of this stuff, but we're looking for some like things that are a little bit crazier. And the guy yells upstairs to his wife and goes, should we show them the kids under the stairs?
Oh no.
Oh,
And me and Shane are just like, that's funny. He
Bill's
goes,
like,
sure, if they're
okay.
interested, sure. Under the stairs is just like a little like cutout door that you can open up, probably about 3 feet by 4 feet or something like that. He opens it up and he pulls out this box. It's a dog food box. It says moist and meaty. It's just pulls out 2 jars, formaldehyde in the jars, and 2 baby fetuses.
Really?
Yeah. They were specimens he got as a doctor
hmm
and had these 2 pieces. And Shane, even, and me, were just like, I don't know. What are we going to do with these things if we even buy them? I mean, they're completely legal to buy, completely legal to sell. Let's just clarify all
Yeah.
that. They were
100%.
medical,
Yep.
they were
Yep.
medical specimens.
Yep.
They had some information on them. Uh, we negotiate a price. We buy them. We have these things, and we don't know what to do with them. Okay, we end up we were in contact previously with that show Oddities.
Yeah.
We were going to go on that show. That's another story. Many, many years ago, they ended up backing out on us and canceling the day we were supposed to go. And then we ended up contacting him about these, and the guy was like, yeah, I get down to your area. If you have them when I come down, I'll stop by and I'll pick them up. But in the meantime, this other guy showed up to buy something else from us. Don't remember, to pick up something he bought. And then he told us what he does for a living. He's like, yeah, I like weird stuff. His job was, he did autopsies. He was a doctor. He did autopsies. And so we're like, hey, we have these. Would you be interested? We show it to him. He's like, I don't know. He's like, they're nothing crazy rare. They're not as rare as you would think they are, surprisingly. But they're rare enough. And he's like, nah, I'm not interested at the moment. Not for me right now. So this thing sat in a cupboard upstairs at our location for about a year.
Please tell me
in the
it was
moist and
in the
meaty
moist and
boxes.
meaty box. God, I love how we're on the same page.
Yeah, they stayed right in the moist and meaty box in the cupboard. They were in
Okay.
there the whole time. Upstairs in what Bill calls Studio B now, in one of the cupboards up there.
Oh, you guys put Bill
Literally
up in
almost
moist and
forgot
meaty
about it.
room?
What's that?
You guys put Bill up in moist and meaty room?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So seriously, no, this is what's crazy.
Keep
More to the
keep
story.
Okay.
It's
I'm sorry.
ongoing.
I'm sorry.
About a year goes by. I get this call from this guy, and he goes, "You still have those?" He goes, "I know it's a long shot," and I'm like, "You still have those the fetuses in the jars?" And I'm like, "That's not a long shot. We don't know where to sell them. I don't know why we bought them, because it's just a weird opportunity." And he goes, "Are you still stuck at that price?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I shaved $50 off." And he goes, "Okay." Now he does autopsies, and his wife did embalming, and he said, "I want to buy them for my wife for a birthday or Valentine's Day gift."
Oh my God. Get out of here. Okay, wait. So
So he
Husbands out there,
came.
do not do this.
What's that?
Said all husbands out there, do
No,
not
no,
do
no, no,
that.
no. But he
it takes a
came. He
special
bought them.
husband and a special wife for that gift, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
guys?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they were on the same page. It was, you know, uh, definitely appreciated he wasn't doing it, and it's weird because I didn't remember the guy. He shows up and he's in this big four-wheeler truck and a big beer. I'm just like, this just doesn't. It was that whole thing was just weird. So you wanted to know a weird story about, well, not weird, but what's the weirdest thing we've ever bought and sold, and the story behind it? I have that one all the time. I can answer that one because
You
nothing's beating
glossed
that story.
you glossed over this But I'm sure inquiring minds want to know, what does one pay for baby fetuses in a mason jar in a
Now
monster meaty
we're
box?
talking probably 10 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
$300
Each or total?
total.
Okay, that's not horrible. Okay,
And then we sold it. We like to double our money. I think
yeah,
we ended up selling it to him for $550.
okay. I'm just, hey, frame of reference just in case I ever come across a mason jar fetus. I just want to frame
So
a
it's
reference of
funny.
what I
I
got to
was
pay for it.
actually at a an auction where they were selling, and again, we Shane likes weird, creepy stuff. So we were at an auction where uh, a funeral home went out of business, and there was like some old coffins and stuff, and he was into Victorian age coffin, so he bought with the glass on it and stuff.
Heck
So he
yeah.
was there to buy some of that kind of stuff, and we ran into some people that were there for medical oddities, and that's when I found out they're not as rare as you would think they were, because I would tell some the people, I was like, hey, you interested in these? I got pictures. He's like, no, if you have any that are like conjoined twins and
Deformed, yeah.
stuff, yeah, then I'll buy it.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's
they
like, I
really
already
want the
have 8
oddities.
of those. I'm like, okay.
Okay. All right, so what is our I mean you can't follow that, but
No, there's no good one to follow that.
I mean it's
That's like
8:30,
end the
so if
show
you
right
have
there. That's
wait a minute, hold on. You can't ask the question and get theirs and not give something we've done just for the sake of throwing out the question.
God, the weirdest thing we've bought is the stupid printer.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of crazy.
But that's not weird. It was just
So
a Chris said
early
green beans doesn't count.
green beans don't compete. No, the green beans don't compete. So
Always.
early on in our relationship, we were buying from an auction up in Cincinnati, and we got I don't know why we started looking at their larger items. But I was looking at their auctions one day and they had a photo printer,
A ph-
like when you would see at a CVS or a
So
Walgreens, those really huge printers, the photo
it
printer.
was a photography business that went out of business.
Yeah,
And they were auctioning everything off from the business.
yeah. And I looked at it and I said, "Hey, look, this thing's going for a really good deal." I did a little research on it, and that, you know, knew those things were $15,000 or $20,000. It when I said, "Hey, those are going for a really good deal," it was selling for $100. And I said, "These things are going. This is going for a really good deal.
And I
You
was
should
like,
get it."
what in the ever
Oh,
loving
she's
F are you going to do with a big photo lab printer?
well, I bought it anyway. I bought the printer, I bought the ink, I bought paper, I bought all the things. I think I spent 400
We
bucks for
didn't
this
even
whole
own
thing.
a truck
I
at
didn't
the
even have a
time.
truck. I rented a
A
pickup
truck
truck to have it
from
forklifted in
Enterprise.
from Cincinnati, Ohio, to drive it 3 hours down to Somerset, Kentucky.
It fit in the bed of this truck with about that much spare room
Yeah.
and squatted it almost to the tires.
Oh
Tony
yeah,
was like,
it was horrible.
Tony called me up when he was up there and he's like, this is bigger than I thought it was.
I couldn't put the tailgate up. It was hanging off the tailgate. I strapped this thing in. Anyway, so I get it home and I can't. I rented a truck that I thought our storage unit is raised up. It was raised up about what, 3 foot?
Yeah,
And I rented a
2
truck
foot.
that I thought would back right up to the height of our storage unit so I could just roll it off. No, the thing squatted the truck so low that I was like a foot below the ledge, and it was like a flipping 3,000 pound printer. You can't just lift it up and go. So I went across the street.
Relationships, people.
Relationships, folks. This is all about relationships. Let's see how it all circles back. I went across the street. There's a semi repair garage. We talked to them. I told him the predicament I was in. He's like, "Oh, I'll send dude over with the forklift. No problem."
But it's a semi truck forklift.
Shoot,
It's huge.
he can't even back and turn around in this place. Anyway, it literally takes 4 hours to get this thing off of my truck and into storage. Then it sits in our storage unit for what, 3 months?
I nagged him every day,
Every-
4 times a day. What are you going to do with that printer? What are you going to do with it? Tony, you haven't touched that printer yet.
And one day I was down at the storage unit picking up something that we sold at eBay, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. Was I going to try to sell it as a whole unit, or was I gonna piece it out and just sell pieces and parts of it? And then I started looking at it and I'm like, oh, I really don't know anything about this. I don't know how I would piece part it out. So I took a couple of like cartridges that the paper fits in, and I snapped some pictures. I put them up on eBay, and then I drove home. And what was
20
it?
minutes,
20 minutes.
15 minutes.
By the time I got home, 20 minutes later, I had already sold those cartridges for like $400. And I get there and I'm like, hey, I think I just sold this stuff. So we started communicating back and forth with the guy. And I think a day or a day and a half after that, she just says, hey, this guy he's got to have this machine. Why don't you just
This
ask
exact
him?
machine.
Yeah, why don't you just ask him if he's interested in the whole thing rather than just these cartridges? And I'm like, sure. So I sent him a message. We started talking. Next thing I know, he's bought the entire lot. He's paid for us to deliver it to Hidalgo, Texas. We got a vacation out of it. It was my 50th birthday. We planned an entire vacation around this thing.
Dropped it off at the U.S. Customs
Dropped it
office
off
in
at the customs
Hidalgo,
office so
Texas.
that he could send it to a photo shop, a photo studio, or whatever.
In
it was
Mexico, and
in Mexico.
he took us to a Mexican buffet
Yeah.
with his family.
Yeah. Not as crazy as that, but what a weird buy and sell thing that happened. It really was crazy.
And he will forever throw that in my face because
Oh,
I gave him so much crap for buying it.
And what did he pay for this? It was almost $7,000 all told with delivery, and
It was more than that with delivery, but it was over $8,000. And
$400 pickup.
He literally paid $450 for it.
Which is why I give her crap for nagging me for 3 straight months.
So now whenever she nags you, you just say printer.
Printer. Hey, Tony, are you doing?
There has to be a statute of limitations on that.
No, there does not. There absolutely does not.
Oh, he's got plenty of bad buys.
I was going to say
since
that
then.
the statute of limitations has to do with the calculation of losses that offset the gains from that. So there's
exactly.
a mathematical equation to that statute of limitations.
The better part of that is it was his 50th birthday and we built a whole vacation out of it. We didn't come back with a single cent of that money.
Nope, spent the whole
We spent the whole thing on 2 weeks of vacation for his 50th
we
birthday.
came back just as broke as we were when we left. It was fantastic. Anyway, guys, it's 6:37. We've actually gone over a few minutes. So again, I hope you guys have enjoyed tonight. Unless anybody has any last minute things.
I don't think so.
Hit the like button,
Hit
not
the
a
like.
thumbs up in the chat.
Hit the like button and do a thumbs up in the chat. I'm okay if you do both.
Bye, guys.
He's
Till
already
next
picked us
week.
out.
See you, everybody. Thanks for joining, everybody. Catch you all
Always
later.
go before
See you next
Jeremy.
time.
Goodbye, everybody.